Before you drop another old penny or nickel into a change jar, stop and check the date. In this special 20-coin compilation, we are examining 10 Lincoln wheat pennies and 10 Jefferson nickels from real circulated collections. Some look ordinary. Several show heavy wear, toning, or environmental damage. 5 of the nickels were struck in the wartime alloy containing 35% silver. And one date in this group connects to one of the most remarkable Lincoln cent sales ever recorded. A certified 1958 Doubled Die Obverse cent-graded PCGS MS65 Red sold for $1,136,250. It is one of only 3 known examples. But do not put that price on every 1958 penny. The $1 million coin was the extremely rare 1958 DDO, with strong, matching doubling in areas such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." The worn 1958 cent in our footage is only a reference coin unless those exact diagnostics can be verified. The nickels hold a second major surprise. A certified 1943 over Teco Philadelphia Jefferson nickel-graded MS67 Full Steps sold for $16,675. We also have 2 physical 1943 P nickels, 2 1943 S nickels, and 1 1944 P nickel. All 5 are silver war nickels, identified by the large P or S above Monticello. Silver content makes them worth checking, but it does not turn an ordinary worn nickel into a 5-figure rarity. The overdate, strike quality, grade, and full steps designation must be confirmed separately. Among the wheat pennies, we will inspect a 1944 D connected to the famous D over S variety. Several dates known as major condition rarities, and 1 mystery cent with only 191 clearly visible. We will not guess the final digit or invent a mint mark that the footage cannot prove. Across all 20 coins, we are looking for 4 things: the correct date and mint mark, original surface preservation, a recognized variety diagnostic, and the correct metal composition. We will show you where to inspect for the 1958 DDO, the 1944 D over S, the 1943 over 2 nickel, full steps, and the large wartime mint marks. We will also separate genuine mint characteristics from corrosion, scratches, cleaning, weak strikes, and ordinary circulation wear. Remember that the coins on screen are circulated examples, not the certified auction coins behind the record prices. Historical auction results belong only to the exact coin, grade, and variety named in the sale. Never clean a promising coin, and never identify a rare variety from one blurry photograph. Stay with us, because an ordinary-looking date may be the beginning of a valuable discovery, but only when every diagnostic agrees. Let us begin with the first coin. Begin with the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny, the final year Denver issue of the classic wheat reverse. Denver struck 800,953,300 examples, so the date itself is not rare. In fact, it is one of the easiest wheat cents to locate in old rolls, inherited jars, and dealer boxes. That enormous production figure is exactly why careless value claims fail. A brown circulated 1958 D with worn wheat lines and contact marks is not a multi-thousand-dollar coin simply because it is old. The valuable side of this date appears at the extreme top of the grading ladder. PCGS records an auction result of $3,600 for a 1958 D-graded MS67 Plus Red at Heritage Auctions in January of 2025. That designation tells the real story. Mint state means the coin showed no circulation wear. The numerical grade placed it close to technical perfection, while red meant that most of its original copper color survived. A typical circulated penny, including the example on screen, belongs to a completely different market. Start your inspection with Lincoln's cheek, jaw, coat, and the open fields around the portrait. On a genuinely uncirculated cent, luster should move across the surface as the coin is tilted. Flat brown areas, smooth high points, scratches, corrosion, or a dull cleaned appearance reduce the grade quickly. Turn the coin over and study the wheat stalks. The grain lines, the lettering in 1 cent, and the open field around the denomination should remain sharp and free from distracting marks. Also examine the D mint mark, but do not decide that every unusual shape is an error. On heavily used dies, worn punches and circulation damage can make a normal mint mark look filled, doubled, or distorted. Real repunched mint marks require the same raised secondary impression in the same position as a documented die variety. A random scrape beside the D is damage, not a second mint mark. The pictured coin shows honest circulation wear and darkening. That makes it useful for comparison because this is what most viewers will actually find. Preserve it as a collectible, but do not attach the MS67 Plus Red auction price to it. If another 1958 D in your collection has blazing original color, no visible wear, clean fields, and unusually sharp wheat details, set it aside in a non-PVC holder and compare it with professionally graded examples. Use a simple 3-step decision before considering certification. First, view the coin without magnification and reject anything with obvious wear or cleaning. Second, use 5-power magnification to locate marks and spots that the naked eye missed. Third, compare both sides with certified MS66 and MS67 photographs. If your coin only looks impressive under one favorable light, it is unlikely to compete at the level behind the record price. Next, in this wheat penny cluster, watch for our complete 1958 D guide with close-up grading checks, mint mark comparisons, A&D real auction results. From a massive Denver mintage, we move to an even larger one and another case where survival quality matters more than the date alone. Begin with a nickel that proves enormous production does not make every surviving example equal. This is the 1999 D. Jefferson nickel struck at the Denver Mint. Denver produced 1,066,720,000 examples that year. With more than 1 billion coins released, finding the date is easy. Finding one that survived nearly untouched is a different challenge. The coin shown here is not one of those elite survivors. Its surface looks dull and uneven, with visible circulation wear and small marks across Jefferson's portrait. The original mint luster has been interrupted. That immediately separates it from the mint state coins that compete for the highest grades. This example can still be useful for a date set, but its worn appearance does not support a large auction comparison. On a promising 1999 D nickel, begin with Jefferson's cheek, jaw, hair, and the open field in front of his face. These exposed areas collect contact marks quickly. Then turn the coin over and examine Monticello. The steps at the base of the building are the most important grading checkpoint. PCGS awards the Full Steps designation only to mint state coins with at least 5 clearly separated and uninterrupted steps. A weak strike, a bridge between 2 steps, or a contact mark cutting through the lines can prevent that designation. The difference matters because ordinary 1999 D nickels remain common through normal circulated grades and even into lower mint state levels. PCGS notes that examples are easy to locate through about MS65. MS66 becomes more difficult, while MS67 is extremely hard to find. PCGS lists a historical auction record of $995 for a certified 1999 D graded MS68. That price belonged to one exceptionally preserved coin. It does not mean that a worn 1999 D is worth hundreds of dollars. Do not mistake environmental discoloration for a missing clad error. A Jefferson nickel is not made like a modern clad quarter. Its normal composition is 75% copper and 25% nickel throughout the coin. Therefore, a brown or dark surface does not reveal a valuable copper core. It usually points toward contamination, oxidation, heat, or chemical exposure. Also inspect the rim. A real off-center strike should show a clear area of unstruck planche and corresponding design displacement. Random dents, a flattened edge, or missing metal from impact or damage. The coin in the footage does not provide enough evidence for a mint error, so the honest value discussion must stay centered on grade. If you find a bright 1999 D with sharp details and almost no marks, hold it only by the edge. Rotate it beneath one light and watch for continuous cartwheel luster. Then photograph both sides, especially the Monticello steps. Most examples will still be worth 5 cents, but an extraordinary certified survivor can enter a completely different market. That is the real hook of this common date. 1 billion were made, but collectors do not pay serious money for the date alone. They pay for the tiny number that escaped wear, bag marks, weak steps, and careless handling. The 1957 D wheat penny looks ordinary because more than 1 billion were produced. The official mintage reached 1,051,342,000 coins, making it the highest mintage date in this group. That number creates an obvious trap. Some people assume a billion coin issue can never be valuable, while others see one expensive auction result and assume every example is valuable. Both conclusions miss the same point. Rarity can exist in condition even when it does not exist in the original mintage. PCGS lists a $6,600 auction record for a 1957 D-graded MS67 Plus Red sold by Stax Bowers in May of 2019. Once again, that was not an average coin pulled from circulation. It was a certified superb gem survivor with original red copper color, powerful luster, and surfaces clean enough to rank near the top of the known population. The coin on screen is a circulated 1957 D. Its color has changed, the high points show wear, and the fields contain marks. Those features are normal after decades of handling, but they separate it from a premium mint state example. Look first at Lincoln's hair above the ear, his cheekbone, jaw, and coat. If those points appear smooth while the protected areas remain darker, the coin has circulated. Rotating cartwheel luster should flow continuously across a true mint state coin. Shine caused by polishing or cleaning will look flat and unnatural. On the reverse, inspect the wheat kernels and the horizontal lines in the stalks. Weak details can come from wear, a soft strike, grease in the die, or damage, and those causes do not carry the same value. Study 1 cent in United States of America for clear edges. Then check the D-mint mark under magnification. Raised doubling that repeats in a consistent direction may justify comparison with a recognized variety, but shelf-like flatness usually indicates machine doubling, and an irregular cut is normally post-mint damage. Color also matters. Copper coins are commonly described as brown, red-brown, or red. Red does not mean bright paint or artificial color. It refers to surviving original mint color. Never dip, polish, brush, or rub a penny in an attempt to make it red again. Altered color can lead to a details grade and destroy the premium you were trying to create. For most circulated 1957 D cents, the attraction is history and collectability, not a life-changing payout. The serious money appears when the coin combines exceptional preservation, original surfaces, strong eye appeal, and certification. If yours is noticeably cleaner and brighter than every other penny in the group, isolate it before it picks up new marks. Pay special attention to storage. Old cardboard holders, soft plastic flips containing PVC, and damp basements can produce haze or green corrosion long after a coin was removed from circulation. A technically uncirculated penny can still lose most of its premium through poor storage. Use an inert holder. Avoid touching the faces and record clear photographs before moving it again. The complete 1957 D cluster guide will show exactly where wear first appears and how a true red mint state coin differs from a cleaned one. Our next penny carries an S mint mark and a lower mintage, but the same warning remains: mint mark alone does not create the auction price. At number 9, this 1995 P. Jefferson nickel shows why a strange-looking surface is not automatically a valuable error. Philadelphia struck 774,156,000 nickels in 1995. The P mint mark appears on the obverse near the date. The issue is common, but a small group of sharply struck, nearly flawless full steps coins can carry a premium. The photographed example has extensive roughness, brown discoloration, and green deposits. Those features are consistent with environmental damage or corrosion. They do not look like original mint luster, and they do not create a recognized error by themselves. Corrosion changes the metal after the coin leaves the mint. A minting error must be created during planche preparation, striking, or another stage of production. That distinction protects viewers from one of the most common online traps. Sellers often describe stained nickels as missing layers, wrong planche pieces, or rare experimental metals. A normal 1995 P nickel is a solid copper-nickel alloy. It has no separate outer clad layer that can simply disappear. Green material often indicates a reaction involving the copper in the alloy, while reddish or dark patches can result from moisture, soil, chemicals, or long storage in unsafe material. Do not clean this coin to reveal a brighter surface. Acid, vinegar, baking soda, metal polish, and rubbing can remove corrosion. But they also alter the remaining metal and leave unnatural color or hairlines. Cleaning cannot restore original mint surface. It normally reduces collector interest further. For an undamaged 1995 P, the valuable condition clue is found on Monticello's steps. Check whether at least 5 step lines remain fully separated across the required sections. Then inspect Jefferson's cheek, jaw, and coat for contact marks. A coin needs both strong preservation and a sharp strike. Clean steps on a worn coin do not earn a full steps designation because PCGS applies that designation only to mint state examples. PCGS records a 1995 P Full Steps nickel-graded MS67 that sold for $546 at Heritage Auctions in August 2011. That record is useful because it shows the top grade possibility without pretending the date is rare. The sale involved a certified MS67 Full Steps coin. The corroded example on screen is not comparable to it. If you think a 1995 P was struck on the wrong planche, do not rely on color. A normal Jefferson nickel weighs 5.00 grams and measures about 21.2 millimeters. Use an accurate scale, check the diameter, examine the complete edge, and compare the coin with an undamaged nickel. A dramatic weight or size difference may justify professional examination, but dirt and attached corrosion can also affect a reading. This coin's strongest lesson is not a fantasy value. It is the difference between damage and rarity. An unusual appearance creates a reason to investigate, not a reason to announce an error. Most 1995 P nickels are worth face value. Only a genuinely exceptional grade, a verified major mint error, or another professionally authenticated feature can move the value far beyond 5 cents. If you collect modern nickels, watch our complete 1985 P Jefferson nickel guide next for Full Steps Checkpoints A&D certified auction comparisons. Number 8 is the 1951 S Wheat Penny from the San Francisco Mint. Its mintage of 136,010,000 is far lower than the billion-plus total for the previous coin, which makes the S-Mint mark immediately more interesting to many collectors. Still, 136 million is not a tiny production figure. Circulated examples remain available, and the pictured coin should not be presented as a rare treasure without evidence of an exceptional grade or recognized variety. The top-end market is a different story. PCGS reports that a 1951 S-graded MS68 Red sold for $9,000 at Heritage Auctions in January of 2025. PCGS also describes the issue as common through approximately MS66, becoming much scarcer in MS67 and above. That is the value ladder viewers need to understand. The date moves from common to difficult only when preservation reaches a level almost never encountered in circulation. Examine the coin under a single, soft light and rotate it slowly. On a premium uncirculated example, luster should travel evenly across Lincoln's portrait and the surrounding fields. The cheek and jaw are important because contact marks collect there. Check the area in front of Lincoln's face, behind his head, and above the date. A few tiny marks may be acceptable at lower mint state grades, but MS68 requires extraordinary surfaces, original color, and eye appeal. The S-Mint mark deserves magnification, but it also attracts false alarms. A mint mark that looks thick because of wear, corrosion, or a hit is not automatically repunched. Look for a separate raised curve or serif that follows a consistent secondary position. If you cannot match the feature to a documented die, describe it as suspicious or worth examining, not as a confirmed error. On the reverse, pay attention to the wheat lines and the small spaces around 1 cent. Staining, dark spots, verdigris, and old fingerprints can limit the grade even if the coin never circulated. The pictured 1951 S has visible wear and a mature brown surface. It is a real collectible, but it does not visually resemble the certified MS68 Red coin behind the $9,000 result. Do not clean this coin. Brown copper cannot be safely returned to original mint red because the color change is part of the metal's surface history. Put promising pieces into inert holders, keep them dry, and compare them with high-resolution certified photographs before spending money on grading. Certification makes sense only when the condition appears strong enough to justify the fees. One useful comparison is to place the 1951 S beside several ordinary wheat cents under identical lighting. Original luster will appear active and consistent as every coin is tilted, while polish often creates harsh bright zones surrounded by dead surfaces. Judge the entire coin, not one clean-looking patch. A premium grade requires quality on both sides, so a beautiful obverse cannot rescue a spotted or heavily marked reverse. Next in the cluster, our 1951 S Deep Dive will cover S Mint diagnostics, color designations, AND, the difference between ordinary wear ANDA, true condition rarity. Now the countdown reaches a Philadelphia cent with no mint mark and a 5-figure certified result. Number 8 is where this countdown becomes far more surprising. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel appears ordinary, and Philadelphia struck 647,114,962 examples. Most circulated coins remain worth 5 cents. Yet one extraordinary certified full step survivor sold for $9,066. That does not make the photographed coin a $9,000 nickel. The example shown here has severe environmental damage. Much of the surface has turned brown, gray, and green. Jefferson's portrait is visible, but the fields have lost their original texture and luster. These are not signs of an elite mint state grade. They show that the coin spent time in damaging storage, soil, moisture, or contact with reactive material. Why then can the 1985 P become valuable? The answer is strike quality combined with preservation. PGs describes the date as common in most grades. It becomes scarce in MS65 with full steps, very difficult in MS66 full steps, and exceptional above that level. In January 2024, Heritage Auctions sold a PCG certified 1985 P-graded MS67 Plus full steps for $9,066. Full steps refers to the horizontal lines at the base of Monticello. The lines must be sharply separated and uninterrupted. A mark cutting across the steps can destroy the designation even when the rest of the coin looks beautiful. Weakness from the strike can do the same thing. That means a bright coin is not enough. Collectors need a clean obverse, strong luster, minimal marks, and unusually complete reverse detail. The coin on screen cannot be judged for full steps because only its obverse is shown, and its corrosion already prevents a high numerical grade. Calling it a valuable full steps coin would therefore be unsupported. The correct approach is to use this damaged example as an identification coin while explaining what a completely different premium example would need. Check every 1985 P under a single light. Rotate it slowly. Original luster should travel around the surface in a cartwheel pattern. If the high points on Jefferson's cheek, hair, and shoulder become flat or dull, while protected areas remain brighter, the coin has friction. Then turn it over and use 5 to 10 power magnification on Monticello. Do not scrape dirt from the steps with a needle because one scratch can ruin the very feature you are trying to inspect. Be cautious with online claims of doubled dates and doubled letters. Flat shelf-like doubling is often mechanical doubling and usually does not carry the same market as a recognized doubled die. A genuine doubled die should match documented diagnostics in location, shape, and separation. Random corrosion can also make letters look thicker or doubled. This 1985 P teaches a powerful rule. Mintage alone does not tell the whole story. More than 647 million were produced, but almost all picked up marks, weak steps, wear, or damage. The $9,066 result belonged to one certified condition rarity at MS67 Full Steps. Your average circulated nickel remains 5 cents, while a truly pristine candidate should be protected and professionally evaluated before any value claim is made. That dramatic difference is why careful grading matters far more than an exciting date written on an ordinary holder. The 1948 Philadelphia wheat penny carries no mint mark, which is normal. Philadelphia struck 317,570,000 examples, so the missing letter is not an error and does not make the coin rare. This matters because online listings often describe normal Philadelphia cents as special no mint mark errors. That wording is wrong. For this date, no mint mark simply identifies the Philadelphia issue. Despite the large mintage, PCGS records a $10,350 auction result for a 1948 cent graded MS67 Red at Heritage Auctions in January of 2012. That result demonstrates condition rarity, not date rarity. A coin had to survive for decades without circulation wear, harmful storage, fingerprints, spotting, cleaning, or heavy bag marks before it could compete at that level. The example on screen has the warm brown color and softened detail expected from circulation. Start by checking Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, shoulder, and coat. These are the first places friction becomes visible. Then look into the flat fields. If the surface is dull, scratched, or covered with random contact marks, it cannot be compared with a superb gem. On an original red coin, the color should appear natural and integrated with the luster, not bright in isolated polished patches. Turn to the wheat reverse and examine the two stalks. The central grain lines and the tips near the rim should be distinct. Weakness alone does not prove wear, because strike quality can vary, but a combination of weak high points and broken luster confirms circulation. Check the lettering in 1 cent, especially the open spaces inside the letters, for dirt, corrosion, or cleaning residue. This date is useful because it exposes another common mistake, searching only for dramatic errors. Sometimes the most valuable certified coin is a normal strike preserved at an extraordinary grade. That does not mean viewers should submit every bright 1948 cent. Grading fees, shipping, and insurance can exceed the value of an ordinary piece. First, compare the coin with authenticated examples at several grades and evaluate whether it has realistic potential. If you find a 1948 cent with full original red color, strong luster, sharp wheat details, and very few marks under magnification, store it separately and seek an experienced opinion. If it is brown and worn like the pictured example, enjoy it as an authentic piece of post-war American coinage without forcing a 5-figure claim onto it. Before submission, inspect the rim from every angle. Small edge knocks, discoloration, or residue may be less obvious in a straight-on photograph but still affect market appeal. Also compare strike sharpness with surface preservation. A weakly struck but untouched coin and a sharply struck circulated coin can look similar in one area. Luster across the high points reveals which explanation is more likely. Our complete 1948 wheat penny guide will place circulated, red-brown, A&D full red examples side by side so you can see where the value jumps actually begin. The next coin adds a Denver mint mark and an $18,000 top-grade record, but its visible surface still tells us more than the headline. At number 7 is a coin people save constantly, but most never identify completely. The date is 1964. From the obverse image alone, however, we cannot honestly say whether it came from Philadelphia or Denver. On Jefferson nickels of this period, the mint mark is on the reverse, to the right of Monticello. No mint mark means Philadelphia. A small d means Denver. That missing reverse identification matters because the two issues have different mintages and different high-grade markets. Philadelphia struck 1,024,672,000 nickels in 1964. Denver produced an even larger 1,787,297,160. These enormous totals make ordinary circulated examples common. The age of the coin does not automatically create a premium. The photographed example is heavily worn and affected by green and brown corrosion. The portrait has lost sharp detail, the fields are rough, and original luster is not visible. This is environmental damage, not evidence of a rare alloy or missing layer. It should not be compared with a certified mint state or special mint set coin. The 1964 issue becomes fascinating at the top of the grading scale. Many coins were struck quickly from worn dies, and sharp Monticello steps can be difficult to locate. PCGS lists a 1964 Philadelphia Full Steps example, graded MS67, with a historical auction record of $14,100. PCGS also lists a 1964 D Full Steps record of $9,900. Those results belong to exceptionally sharp and carefully preserved certified coins. There is also a famous 1964 special mint set Jefferson nickel. PCGS lists a Full Steps SM's example with a record of $32,900. This is not a variety that should be diagnosed from a worn pocket coin simply because its surface looks different. Genuine SM's nickels show a distinctive strike and finish and are extremely rare. The corroded coin in this footage does not resemble the preserved certified pieces that support those prices. Your first job is therefore identification, not valuation. Show the reverse and locate the mint mark. Next, check Monticello's steps under magnification. Then examine Jefferson's cheek and jaw for wear. On many 1964 nickels, weak detail comes from the dies, but wear and corrosion can make the weakness even worse. A coin must remain mint state before Full Steps can create the strongest premium. Collectors should also watch for genuine repunched mint marks on certain 1964 D nickels, but the feature must match a recognized die. A distorted D caused by a hit, corrosion, or glare is not enough. The same rule applies to doubling in the date and lettering. Raised, rounded separation that matches a documented variety is meaningful. Flat smearing or random roughness is usually not. Do not spend grading fees on this photographed example. Its visible corrosion and wear remove the high-grade possibility. Keep it as an educational or album coin if you like it. But do not attach a 5-figure auction record to it. The practical opportunity lies in searching untouched rolls or old collections for a bright 1964 nickel with a clean portrait, original luster, and sharply separated steps. Watch our complete 1964 Jefferson nickel guide for Philadelphia versus Denver identification, Full Steps grading, and the truth about the rare SMS issue. The 1947 D-Wheat penny was struck in Denver with an official mintage of 194,750,000. It is not a key date in ordinary circulated grades, yet exceptionally preserved examples can become legitimate condition rarities. PCGS records an auction result of $18,000 for a 1947 D-graded MS67 Plus Red sold by Heritage Auctions in December of 2022. That grade is the entire reason the price belongs in this discussion. MS67 Plus Red describes a coin with no circulation wear, intense original copper color, strong luster, and only minute imperfections. It does not describe the dark, stained, or scratched coins normally found in circulation. The 1947 D on screen has environmental discoloration and clear evidence of use. It should be shown honestly as the kind of example most collectors encounter, not as the $18,000 coin. Inspect Lincoln's portrait with the light coming from the side. Look for flatness on the cheek, jaw, hair above the ear, and coat. Next, examine the fields for parallel hairlines. Fine, uniform scratches often reveal wiping, while random deeper marks usually came from circulation. Both affect grade. A glossy surface without rotating luster may have been polished, coated, or chemically treated. The D mint mark is a natural focal point. Make sure it is raised from the coin and made of the same metal as the surrounding surface. Added mint marks, Displaced metal from a hit, corrosion bubbles, and flattened machine doubling can imitate something valuable. A real mint-made variety must match a documented die pattern. PCGS currently groups the regular 1947D issue primarily by brown, and red color designations, so do not invent an over-mint mark merely because one photograph looks unusual. On the reverse, inspect the wheat ears and the spaces around the denomination. A strong strike should show clear grain lines, but even a sharp coin can lose value through spots or cleaning. Original copper surfaces are delicate. A thumbprint placed on a red coin decades ago can darken permanently and prevent a premium grade today. If your 1947D is brown and circulated, its value usually remains in the modest collector range. If it displays blazing mint color, uninterrupted luster, sharp details, and nearly mark-free fields, then the date becomes worth serious comparison. Photograph it before handling it further and place it in an inert holder. Do not send it for grading based on brightness alone. Verify that the brightness is original. A second opinion is especially useful with copper. Ask the evaluator to explain the likely grade, color designation, and any sign of cleaning separately. Those are 3 different judgments. If the only reason to submit is the large auction record, stop. The coin should first demonstrate realistic high-grade characteristics that can survive inspection under stronger light than the one used to photograph it. Next in this cluster, the 1947D guide will focus on original luster, false mint mark alarms, and the surface quality required for the highest certified grades. From Denver, we move to the Philadelphia 1947, where a normal top-grade coin has outperformed many error coins at auction. Number 6 takes us back before America entered World War II. This 1941 Jefferson nickel is old, but it is not a silver war nickel. The emergency 35% silver composition did not begin until partway through 1942. A normal 1941 nickel contains 75% copper and 25% nickel. The reverse is again essential. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. Denver and San Francisco coins carry a small D or S to the right of Monticello. Because the reverse of this physical coin was not supplied, its mint cannot be confirmed. Guessing would weaken the entire value discussion. Philadelphia struck 203,265,000 nickels in 1941. Denver produced 53,432,000, and San Francisco struck 43,445,000. The lower S mintage may sound exciting, but mintage alone still does not make a heavily circulated example highly valuable. Condition, strike, mint mark, and recognized variety must be considered together. The photographed coin has strong circulation wear. Jefferson's hair, cheek, and coat are soft, the fields are dull, and the rim shows age and handling. It can still be a collectible 75-year-old coin, but it is not visually comparable to a premium mint state example. Each mint offers a different high-grade story. PCGS lists a 1941 Philadelphia Full Steps auction record of $5,175. The 1941 D Full Steps record is $11,400, while a 1941 S Full Steps example reached $8,913. These values belong to certified coins with elite grades and sharp Monticello steps, not to every 1941 nickel. If the reverse shows an S, closer study becomes especially interesting. PCGS recognizes 1941 S varieties including the large S, a large S repunched mint mark, and an inverted mint mark variety. These cannot be identified from the obverse. The shape and position of the S must match authenticated diagnostics. A damaged or flattened mint mark is not a substitute. If the coin has a D, specialists can compare it with the recognized 1941 D repunched mint mark. Again, the second impression must have the correct position and form. Corrosion, a scratch, or a hit around the mint mark can create a false doubled appearance. For grade, begin with original luster. Rotate the coin under a fixed light. Then inspect Jefferson's cheek and the open fields for friction and marks. On the reverse, examine the building, columns, windows, and especially the steps. A sharp strike with uninterrupted step lines is the feature that separates an ordinary old nickel from a serious registry quality candidate. This coin should not be cleaned. Dark natural toning may be acceptable to collectors, while polished brightness and fine hairlines can reduce value. Store it in an inert holder and photograph the reverse before deciding whether any specialist variety research is justified. The 1941 nickel teaches a simple but important lesson. Old is not the same as silver, and a date without its reverse mint mark is incomplete information. Confirm the mint first, then check variety, strike, and condition. Until those steps are completed, the honest description is a circulated 1941 Jefferson nickel with its mint still unknown. The second 1947 penny in this group has no mint mark, identifying it as the Philadelphia issue. The mint produced 190,555,000 examples. That makes the ordinary date common, yet PCGS lists a remarkable auction record of $21,600 for a 1947 graded MS67 Red sold by Heritage Auctions in January of 2025. There is also a recognized 1940 die obverse cataloged by PCGS as FS101. A certified MS67 Red example of that variety sold for $3,055 at Heritage in April of 2016. The comparison teaches an important collecting lesson. The word error does not automatically produce the highest price. An extraordinary regular strike can sell for more than a lower grade or less demanded variety. Grade, color, population, eye appeal, and market timing all interact. To inspect a possible doubled die, start with the date, liberty, and in God we trust under steady magnification. True hub doubling is raised and rounded, and it repeats in the same documented direction. Machine doubling generally appears flat and shelf-like, as though part of a letter has been shaved away. Circulation damage creates irregular displaced metal that will not repeat consistently across several letters. The photograph provided does not prove FSS 101, so the script must present it as a variety to check, not a variety already found. For condition, study Lincoln's cheek in the field in front of his face. The pictured coin shows wear and a muted brown surface. A certified MS67 Red coin would require original red color, continuous luster, a sharp strike, and surfaces with very few distractions. On the reverse, the wheat line should remain crisp, and 1 cent should be free from heavy contact marks or staining. Do not use artificial color to make a cent appear red. Chemicals, polishing, and recoloring can produce an unnatural orange or pink appearance, but professional graders examine the surface texture and luster. An altered coin may receive no numerical grade. The safest approach is to leave the coin exactly as found. The ordinary circulated 1947 remains a collectible historic cent, not a guaranteed jackpot. The valuable possibilities are a verified doubled die or a genuinely elite mint state survivor. If you see strong rays doubling, take sharp photographs from directly above and compare every diagnostic before using the word error. Do not judge doubling from a single enlarged phone image. Digital sharpening can create bright and dark outlines around every letter, producing the illusion of separation. Photograph the same feature with sharpening disabled. Then rotate the light without rotating the coin. Genuine raised design elements remain physically consistent. If the apparent second image changes sides or disappears with the lighting, you are probably looking at glare, focus artifacts, or surface damage rather than a double die. A short pause can prevent an expensive identification mistake. Our full 1947 cluster guide will compare true double die lettering with machine doubling AND damage using close-ups that remove the guesswork. The next Denver penny opens two much bigger possibilities, a D over S mint mark and an extremely rare leftover steel planchet. Now the metal itself changes. Number 5 is the first of two physical 1943 S. Jefferson nickels in this countdown. The large S above Monticello confirms that this coin was struck in San Francisco from the wartime silver alloy. It contains 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. The United States needed nickel for armor and other military uses during World War II. To conserve that strategic metal, the mint changed the 5-cent composition during 1942 and continued using the emergency alloy through 1945. The large mint mark above Monticello made these coins easy to separate later. It also created the first use of a P mint mark for Philadelphia on a United States coin. Although this particular example carries the S of San Francisco, the San Francisco Mint struck 104,060,000 of these nickels in 1943. That is a large mintage, so the date and S mint mark alone do not create a fortune. However, every genuine 1943 S has real silver content. At the standard 5-gram weight, the coin contains about 1.75 grams of silver, or approximately 0.056 troy ounce. Its bullion floor therefore changes with the silver market, but its collector value still depends on condition and strike. This first example is circulated. Jefferson's portrait shows friction, the surface is dull, and small marks and discoloration are visible. On the reverse, the large S is the most important identification clue. The worn fields and softened building details separate this coin from high-grade mint state examples. It still has historical and silver value, but the photograph does not prove a rare variety or elite grade. War nickels often develop unusual colors. Gray, greenish, charcoal, gold, blue, or brown tones can result from the manganese silver alloy and years of storage. Natural toning may be acceptable or even attractive. Powdery green corrosion, crusty deposits, or rough pitted metal are different. Those conditions indicate surface damage. Color alone cannot establish authenticity or value. Check the weight on a calibrated scale, but allow for a small loss from circulation. A normal unworn war nickel was specified at 5.20 grams. A lower reading does not automatically mean a wrong planche because wear, corrosion, and scale error can affect the result. Diameter, thickness, edge, design placement, and metal appearance must also agree. Do not perform an acid test or scratch the edge to prove the silver. The large S above Monticello, the date, the standard dimensions, and professional testing when needed provides safer evidence. Scratching damages a collectible surface and can reduce the value. Inspect the date and lettering for rounded, separated doubling, but do not promote every thick letter as a doubled die. Die deterioration, circulation wear, and corrosion can distort the design. Any premium variety needs matching diagnostics from a recognized reference and, at higher values, professional attribution. For a normal circulated 1943 S, the strongest reasons to save it are its wartime history, silver content, and place in the Jefferson series. The coin does not need an invented error to be interesting. It already represents a moment when the mint changed a familiar denomination to support the war effort. Before moving on, compare this first 1943 S with the next physical example. The date and mint are the same, but the next lesson is not about identifying silver. It is about the tiny reverse feature that can separate an ordinary war nickel from a certified coin worth thousands. Number 4 is the second 1943 S in the group. Showing it separately is important because two coins with the same date and mint mark can occupy completely different markets. One may be a worn silver collectible. Another, if it survives with outstanding luster, clean surfaces, and fully separated Monticello steps, can become a major condition rarity. This second photographed example is also circulated. The large S above Monticello confirms the San Francisco wartime issue, but the design has softened and the surfaces show wear and marks. It should not be presented as a full steps or high-grade coin. The value of this example begins with its silver content and collector appeal, not with the highest auction record. The premium feature to understand is full steps. On the reverse, look at the base of Monticello. PCGS requires at least 5 complete, clearly separated, uninterrupted steps on a mint state Jefferson nickel. The lines must remain visible across the required sections. Weak striking can merge them. A single contact mark may cut through them. Circulation can flatten them. Any one of those problems can remove the designation. This creates a steep value ladder. The 1943S is not rare as a basic date. More than 104 million were struck. Many mint state pieces survive. Yet coins combining an elite numerical grade with full steps become much harder to locate. PCGS lists a 1943S graded MS68 Full Steps that sold for $9,000 in February 2017. That record does not mean this second coin is worth $9,000. It means the certified auction coin reached that price because it sat near the top of the condition scale. The photographed coin has visible wear and cannot receive a mint state grade. Attaching the MS68 Full Steps price to it would be inaccurate. When searching other 1943S nickels, first check luster before zooming into the steps. If the coin has friction on Jefferson's cheek or coat, it is circulated. A circulated coin cannot earn the mint state Full Steps designation even if some step lines remain visible. Next, inspect the open fields for marks, then examine Monticello's columns, roof, and steps for strike sharpness. Use only gentle air to remove loose dust. Never rub the coin with a cloth. Silver war nickels can develop dark or colorful toning, and cleaning can leave fine parallel hairlines. Under strong light, those hairlines may become more distracting than the original toning. Grading services may describe the surface as cleaned or altered, sharply limiting collector demand. Also, examine the large S. Its position above the dome is normal for a war nickel. A weak edge of the letter can result from wear or strike quality. A repunched or doubled appearance must match a documented die. Random flattening from a hit does not create a mint mark variety. This second 1943S demonstrates why collectors compare coins side by side. Same date, same mint, same silver composition, but condition can change everything. A circulated example is an affordable piece of history. A certified MS68 Full Steps coin entered a $9,000 market. The date connects them, but preservation separates them. Watch our complete 1943S Jefferson War Nickel Guide for silver identification, Full Steps close-ups, toning versus corrosion. AND grade specific. The 1944 D Wheat penny came from a huge Denver production of 430,578,000 coins. A normal brown circulated example is common. The reason collectors inspect this date is not the mintage alone, it is the existence of recognized over-mint marks, repunched mint marks, double dies, and rare off-metal strikes. The best-known variety is the 1944 D over S, commonly identified as FS 511. On this variety, remnants of an S mint mark can be seen beneath and slightly above the main D. PCGS records a $49,938 auction result for a 1944 DS graded MS67 Plus Red sold by Legend Rare Coin Auctions in December of 2021. Heritage describes the upper loop of the underlying S as visible above the primary D. That is a specific diagnostic, not permission to call every messy D an over mint mark. Use at least 10 power magnification and compare the mint mark with certified close-ups. Look for raised remnants in the correct location. A gouge, stain, corrosion patch, or strike against the D will not reproduce the documented shape. PCGS also recognizes multiple 1944 DD repunched mint mark varieties and a doubled die obverse, which is why exact die matching matters. The other major possibility is a 1944 D struck on a leftover zinc-coated steel planchy. Normal 1944 cents return to a bronze composition and weigh about 3.11 grams. A genuine steel planchy cent is silver gray, weighs roughly 2.70 grams, and reacts to a magnet. Certified 1944 D steel cents have produced major auction results, including a PCGS MS63 example that Heritage sold for $312.50 in 2013. The brown coin on screen is visibly copper-colored, so there is no honest basis for calling it a steel cent. Before testing any suspicious coin, use a calibrated scale reading to at least 2 decimal places. Dirt, corrosion, and scale error can affect the result. A magnet test may support the investigation. But professional authentication is essential because altered 1943 steel cents and plated counterfeits exist. For an ordinary bronze 1944D, grade and original color still matter. Examine Lincoln's cheek, fields, wheat lines, and overall luster. Never scrape the mint mark to expose an imagined S, and never polish a gray coin to see what is underneath. Those actions destroy evidence. Counterfeit detection is critical on this date. A common 1944D can be plated to look gray, while a genuine 1943 steel cent can be altered to resemble a 1944. Study the shape and spacing of every date digit, inspect the edge for exposed copper, and verify both weight and magnetic response. None of these home tests alone proves authenticity. When several indicators support a major off-metal possibility, stop experimenting and let a recognized grading service examine the coin. Record the scale reading and magnetic response on camera before transferring the coin into a holder. Next in the wheat penny cluster, our 1944 D guide will show the D over S diagnostics, correct weight tests, magnet results. AND common counterfeit warning signs. Our third place coin has no mint mark and no obvious error in the photograph, yet one nearly flawless survivor sold for $84,000. The 1935 Philadelphia values. At number 3 is the 1944 P. Jefferson war nickel, and this coin carries one of the strangest stories in the entire 5-cent series. The large P above Monticello confirms a genuine Philadelphia wartime design. The coin contains 35% silver, and the Philadelphia Mint produced 119,150,000 examples in 1944. The coin shown here is circulated. Jefferson's portrait has wear, the fields are dull, and the reverse details are softened. The large P is still the key feature because every genuine United States Mint 1944 Philadelphia nickel should show that oversized P above Monticello. This fact became the clue that exposed a famous counterfeiting operation. During the 1950s, counterfeiter Francis Leroy Henning produced false Jefferson nickels. One of his biggest mistakes was using the 1944 date without placing the required large P above Monticello. A genuine 1944 Philadelphia war nickel has the P. A 1944 nickel with no large mint mark demands close examination because it may be a Henning counterfeit rather than a rare mint error. Collectors sometimes search for other Henning diagnostics, including a hook-like defect on the R and pluribus on certain dies. But no single secondary marker should replace expert authentication. Henning used more than one die, and counterfeit surfaces, weight, and lettering can vary. Major grading services do not certify counterfeits as genuine United States coins. Your photographed coin does display the large P, so the most obvious Henning warning sign is absent. That does not determine grade, but it supports the normal wartime identity. The next questions are surface preservation and strike. PCGS notes that fully struck 1944 P nickels with full steps are less common than non-full steps pieces. The wartime alloy could produce uneven surfaces, oxidation, and inconsistent strikes. Examine Monticello steps, but remember that full steps applies only to mint state coins. This example is circulated and cannot be compared directly with a premium certified full steps piece. PCGS lists a historical auction record of $7,475 for a certified 1944 P sold by Stax Bowers in June 2011. That listed result was for one specific certified coin and is unusual enough that it should not be treated as a standard value guide for every grade. Recent market prices can differ greatly. The safe lesson is that a particular certified sale is evidence of what one coin brought, not a guaranteed offer for another coin. For ordinary circulated 1944 P nickels, silver content creates a floor that moves with the metal market. Collector premiums rise for coins with original luster, attractive natural toning, minimal marks, sharp strikes, or verified varieties. Damage, cleaning, corrosion, and heavy wear reduce that premium. Check the large P, date, and motto under magnification. Raised die cracks can be mint-made while recessed scratches happened after striking. Look for a complete rim and normal 5-gram specifications. If the coin lacks the P, do not celebrate immediately. Isolate it, record its weight and diameter, photograph both sides and the edge, and seek a specialist familiar with Henning nickels. Never clean a suspected counterfeit or unusual war nickel. Surface texture can provide authentication evidence. Polishing may erase or blur the very clues an expert needs. The 1944 P does not need a fake value claim. It already combines real silver, World War II history, full steps potential, and a counterfeit story that began with one missing letter. On this physical coin, that letter is present, and it tells us we are looking at the standard Philadelphia wartime design. Wheat penny had a mintage of 245,388,000. In worn brown condition, it is not a major rarity. The extraordinary headline comes from preservation. PCG's records that a 1935 cent graded MS68 Red sold for $84,000 at Heritage Auctions in January of 2025. MS68 Red sits at an almost unreachable level for a business strike copper cent. The coin must show no circulation wear, outstanding original color and luster, a strong strike, remarkable eye appeal, and only microscopic imperfections. A single distracting spot, fingerprint, scratch, or patch of discoloration can separate an expensive superb gem from a merely attractive, uncirculated cent. That is why the $84,000 result cannot be transferred to the brown circulated 1935 shown on screen. Begin with the date and the absence of a mint mark. Philadelphia cents of this period normally carried no mint mark, so no mint mark is not an error. Next, inspect Lincoln's cheek, jaw, hair, and shoulder for friction. Turn the coin slowly under light and watch whether luster rotates continuously. A clean coin may shine, but the shine often runs in one direction and exposes fine parallel hairlines. The reverse is especially useful for grading. Look at the tips of both wheat stalks, the individual grain lines, 1 cent, and the field below E pluribus unum. Wear, carbon spots, and corrosion should be easy to locate there. Original red color is fragile after 90 years, making genuinely elite survivors far scarcer than the original mintage suggests. PCGs also recognizes double die varieties for 1935. That means viewers should examine the date and obverse lettering, but the correct standard remains diagnostic matching. Thick letters caused by wear, a shaky camera, or digital sharpening are not proof. True doubling must be raised, repeatable, and consistent with an authenticated die. The coin in the video has obvious circulation wear and brown toning. It is historically interesting, but it does not resemble an MS68 Red example. Use the record to teach how extreme condition rarity works, not to imply that every 1935 penny is worth $84,000. If you encounter a 1935 cent with brilliant original color and virtually untouched surfaces, stop handling it immediately. Place it in an inert holder and seek informed evaluation. For average circulated pieces, enjoy the fact that the coin survived from the Great Depression era without inventing a value its condition cannot support. Use market records as comparison points, not price tags. The $84,000 sale reflected a specific grade, certification, date of sale, bidder competition, and population at that moment. Even another certified 1935 at the same numerical grade could bring a different result because eye appeal and market conditions change. Your first question should be, what is this coin? And your second should be, what condition is it actually in? Price comes after both answers. The complete 1935 cluster guide will break down red, brown, and brown color, plus the grading differences that create the enormous top-end price gap. Now we reach the coin whose final date digit is missing. Guessing would be easy. Disciplined identification is more valuable. Hashtag number 2191. Mystery wheat penny. This early wheat penny may be a 1911, 1912, or 1917, but the final digit is too worn to confirm from the current photograph. The mint mark area is also unclear. That uncertainty is not a reason to choose the most expensive possibility. It is the central lesson of this coin. One unreadable digit or mint mark can change the identification, mintage, variety checklist. And value dramatically. If the coin is a 1911 Philadelphia cent, PCGs reports a mintage of a $101,176,054 and a $21,850 auction record for an MS67 Red example. If it is a 1912 Philadelphia cent, the mintage falls to $68,150,915, and PCGs records the same $21,850 top auction result for an MS67 Red coin. A 1911D would be a different issue entirely with a mintage of $12,672,000 and a $66,000 record for an MS67 Red example. A 1912S would have a much lower mintage of $4,431,000. None of those figures can be assigned until both the date and mint mark are identified. The 1917 possibility adds another major branch. A normal Philadelphia 1917 had a mintage of $196,429,785, and a superb MS68 Red example sold for $38,813. More importantly, PCGs recognizes a dramatic 1917 Doubled Die Obverse with doubling at the date and motto. A PCG's MS67 Plus Red example sold for $120,000 at Stack's Bowers in March of 2019. The pictured coin is too worn to prove either the date or that variety. Do not use acid, abrasives, a pencil eraser, or a metal tool to recover the digit. Those methods damage the surface and can create imaginary shapes. Instead, photograph the date under low, angled light from several directions. Change the light, not the coin. A macro image taken straight above may reveal surviving relief that front lighting hides. The reverse style cannot distinguish 1911, 1912, and 1917 because all belong to the same wheat cent design period. Until the date is confirmed, label this coin 191, partial date. Do not advertise it as a 1917 double die or a low mintage branch mint issue. Its heavy wear means that even after identification, it will not share the value of a mint state red auction coin. The intelligent move is preservation and further examination, not an expensive grading submission based on a guess. There is also a practical storytelling advantage in leaving the uncertainty visible. Viewers can follow the same identification process instead of being handed a false answer. Show the date under normal light, then under light from the left, right, top, and bottom. Ask whether the final digit has a straight diagonal, curved base, or vertical stroke. Record observations separately from conclusions. If the evidence remains ambiguous, unknown is the correct professional result. That restraint protects both the coin and your credibility as a collector. Our mystery date cluster guide will demonstrate raking light photography, mint mark location checks, and how to identify a worn date without altering the coin. The countdown now reaches the ordinary-looking 1958 Philadelphia penny, connected to one of the rarest and most expensive Lincoln cent varieties ever certified. Number 2 is the first of two physical 1943 P war nickels. Philadelphia struck an enormous 271,165,000 examples, making this one of the most available wartime silver issues. Yet a top-grade certified example with full steps sold for $14,688. That gap between common date and extraordinary condition is exactly why this coin belongs near the top. The large P above Monticello confirms the wartime silver composition. Before these emergency nickels, Philadelphia normally placed no mint mark on its coins. The oversized P was the first P mint mark used on a United States coin, and it allowed the government to distinguish the silver alloy from standard copper nickel pieces. This first photographed 1943 P is clearly circulated. The obverse shows wear, marks, and dullness. The reverse confirms the large P, but Monticello and its steps have softened. It remains a genuine silver war nickel, but nothing visible supports an MS68 Full Steps comparison. At its original 5-gram weight, the coin contains about 1.75 grams of silver. That gives every normal 1943 P an intrinsic metal component, although the actual dollar amount changes with the silver market. Collectors may pay more than the metal value for attractive examples, but heavy damage or cleaning can limit the numismatic premium. For a condition rarity candidate, begin with luster. A true mint state coin should show no friction on Jefferson's cheek, jaw, hair, or coat. Rotate it under one fixed light and watch for a continuous cartwheel effect. Then inspect the fields for marks. Even a technically uncirculated coin can miss a high grade because nickels struck and stored in bulk often collided with one another. Next, turn to Monticello. The steps must be sharply separated and uninterrupted for the full steps designation. The strike must also look strong across the columns, windows, roof, and lettering. A weakly struck coin cannot become a top full steps example simply because it is shiny. PCGS records a 1943 P-graded MS68 Full Steps that sold for $14,688 through Legend Rare Coin Auctions in July 2020. That was a certified condition rarity near the top of the scale. PCGS also describes the basic 1943 P as common in gem grades, which makes the record more instructive. The price came from the final jump in quality, not from the date alone. Do not confuse bright cleaned metal with original luster. A dipped or polished war nickel may look white in a photograph while showing flat surfaces or hairlines under angled light. Original surfaces can range from satin to frosty and may carry natural color. Certification becomes important before assigning a five-figure comparison. This first 1943 P therefore gives us two honest values to discuss. In worn condition, it is a historic silver nickel with an affordable collector market. At MS68 Full Steps, one certified example reached $14,688. The coin in the footage belongs to the first category. A nearly flawless, sharply struck survivor belongs to the second. Next in this cluster, watch our complete 1943 P Full Steps guide for luster tests, step line diagnostics, and the verified $14,688 auction record. This early wheat penny may be a 1911, 1912, or 1917, but the final digit is too worn to confirm from the current photograph. The mint mark area is also unclear. That uncertainty is not a reason to choose the most expensive possibility. It is the central lesson of this coin. One unreadable digit or mint mark can change the identification, mintage, variety checklist, and value dramatically. If the coin is a 1911 Philadelphia cent, PCGS reports a mintage of a $101,176,054 and a $21,850 auction record for an MS67 Red example. If it is a 1912 Philadelphia cent, the mintage falls to $68,150,015, and PCGS records the same $21,850 top auction result for an MS67 Red coin. A 1911D would be a different issue entirely, with a mintage of 12 bills, 672,000 and a $66,000 record for an MS67 Red example. A 1912S would have a much lower mintage of 4,431,000. None of those figures can be assigned until both the date and mint mark are identified. The 1917 possibility adds another major branch. A normal Philadelphia 1917 had a mintage of 196,429,785, and a superb MS68 Red example sold for $38,813. More importantly, PCGS recognizes a dramatic 1917 Doubled Die Obverse with doubling at the date and motto. A PCGS MS67 Plus Red example sold for $120,000 at Stack's Bowers in March of 2019. The pictured coin is too worn to prove either the date or that variety. Do not use acid, abrasives, a pencil eraser, or a metal tool to recover the digit. Those methods damage the surface and can create imaginary shapes. Instead, photograph the date under low, angled light from several directions. Change the light, not the coin. A macro image taken straight above may reveal surviving relief that front lighting hides. The reverse style cannot distinguish 1911, 1912, and 1917 because all belong to the same wheat cent design period. Until the date is confirmed, label this coin 191, partial date. Do not advertise it as a 1917 double die or a low mintage branch mint issue. Its heavy wear means that even after identification, it will not share the value of a mint state red auction coin. The intelligent move is preservation and further examination, not an expensive grading submission based on a guess. There is also a practical storytelling advantage in leaving the uncertainty visible. Viewers can follow the same identification process instead of being handed a false answer. Show the date under normal light, then under light from the left, right, top, and bottom. Ask whether the final digit has a straight diagonal, curved base, or vertical stroke. Record observations separately from conclusions. If the evidence remains ambiguous, unknown is the correct professional result. That restraint protects both the coin and your credibility as a collector. Our mystery date cluster guide will demonstrate raking light photography, mint mark location checks, and how to identify a worn date without altering the coin. The countdown now reaches the ordinary-looking 1958 Philadelphia penny connected to one of the rarest and most expensive Lincoln cent varieties ever certified. The 1958 Philadelphia wheat penny is the final Philadelphia issue of the wheat reverse era. The mint struck 252,525,000 regular examples, and many were saved because collectors knew the design would change to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. A normal 1958 cent is therefore not rare. PCGS records $9,000 for an exceptional regular strike MS67 Red example sold at Heritage Auctions in October of 2019, but circulated pieces generally occupy a completely different value level. The reason this date belongs at number 1 is the legendary 1958 Doubled Die Obverse. PCGS reports only 3 known examples. The doubling is dramatic and most noticeable on Liberty and In God We Trust. PCGS documents that the finest known example, graded MS65 Red and formerly part of the Stuart Blay collection, sold through Great Collections on January 22, 2023 for $1,136,250. That 7-figure result is real, but it belongs to one authenticated coin, not every 1958 penny. The coin on screen is circulated, and its photograph does not establish double die diagnostics. Saying 1958 is not enough. A genuine example must show the same raised, rounded doubling in the same locations as the certified coins. Flat shelf-like machine doubling, blurry photography, lighting shadows, or damage around the letters cannot substitute for a die match. Start with Liberty. On the genuine double die, the separation is strong enough to command attention under magnification. Then inspect In God We Trust across the top. Compare the direction, spacing, and shape of the secondary images with PCG's reference photographs. PCG's also notes additional diagnostics on known examples, including die polishing features and reverse markers. Because the variety is extraordinarily rare and valuable, authentication must involve a major grading service and experienced specialists. For every normal 1958 cent, condition remains the practical value factor. Examine original luster, red color, Lincoln's cheek and jaw, the fields, and the wheat stalks. The pictured penny shows wear and a brown surface. So it should not be visually equated with either the MS67 Red regular strike or the $1 million double die. Never clean, scratch, or chemically treat a possible double die. Do not rely on an online buyer who demands payment before evaluation, and do not ship a potentially important coin without documentation, insurance, and secure packaging. First, take sharp photographs, record the weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and compare every diagnostic. If the primary markers appear promising, protect the chain of evidence. Photograph the coin beside a dated note, keep the original image files, document where it came from, and avoid passing it between multiple holders. Contact the grading service through its official submission instructions or work with an established authorized dealer. A genuine discovery can withstand careful verification. A rushed private offer is not a substitute for authentication. This is the honest version of a $1 million coin story. The date creates the search, but exact die markers and professional authentication create the value. Millions of normal 1958 cents exist. Only a tiny number match the famous doubled die. These 10 wheat pennies prove that a date is only the beginning. The 1958D and 1957D become expensive only at extraordinary grades. The 1951S, 1948, and both 1947 issues demonstrate how original red color and surface preservation can create condition rarity. The 1944D adds documented over-mint marks and rare steel plancher errors. The 1935 shows what nearly perfect preservation can do, while the partial date penny shows why uncertainty must never be replaced with a profitable guess. Finally, the 1958 Doubled Die proves that $1 million headline can be factual only when it is attached to the exact authenticated variety. Before setting any coin aside, complete 4 checks. Confirm the date and mint mark. Inspect both sides under angled light. Separate true raise doubling from machine doubling and damage. Then compare the coin's actual condition with certified examples, not with the largest price displayed in a video title. Historical auction results describe what specific certified coins sold for on specific dates. They are not guaranteed offers for the coin in your hand. Most wheat pennies are common in circulated condition, and grading is worthwhile only when the likely value justifies the cost and risk. Store promising coins in non-PVC holders, keep them dry, handle them only by their edges, and never clean them. Comment which date you want US to examine first, then open the Wheat Pennies playlist for every complete cluster guide.